And I just literally on the runway of London City Airport, the plane was moving. I'm not even exaggerating. This was exactly how it happened. At that moment, I pressed the button to send my first application to a coaching education. He calls this taking massive action. Mm-hmm. And I just connected to that idea and just pedal to the metal. And it has never stopped.
Welcome. You flew in from Bali for this.
Yes. Yeah, it was quite a trip. It went quite well, actually, to be honest. I was expecting to be jet-lagged, but I discovered a new life hack. You know, anybody might be interested. But on the way forth, I do this actually always when I travel. I don't eat. So I just skip any kind of airplane food or snacks that you get. You probably know what I'm talking about. The things you know you shouldn't eat, but you're terribly hungry. But I'm pretty metabolically flexible, so I just stop eating and I don't get hungry. So I just stop eating. I eat a very nice meal before I leave. And then I think I spent 30, 40 hours not eating. And then I ate the first proper next level lunch in Bali when I arrived. And on the way back, I had this somewhat similar, but with sleep. Mm-hmm. So I had this red eye fly, they call it, through the night. I cannot sleep while sitting up, so I decided not to sleep. So then in the morning, I was still awake. Of course, spent some time in China, hanging out there for 6-7 hours. And then I flew, I think 12 hours here, and everybody was sleeping. And I decided, not going to do that. So then I slept in the evening very late for my purposes, which was, I think, 5 o'clock Bali time. But I pushed through, and then I just fell asleep. And I was, of course, so tired that I just slept through the night. And I'm now in my normal schedule. So it went pretty well.
Amazing life travel hack. Roderick used to be my health coach. And
really?
I started doing intermittent fasting as well, guided by Roderick. And it's funny that you say this, that you don't eat while you travel, because I do the same. When I fly, there's not many healthy options in the plane and at the airport. I also fly and fast. And then you arrive in a new country. You have a beautiful meal with some meat, some salad, and it's an amazing way to break your fast.
Yeah, that's true. And I love this. Maybe for women specifically, I don't know, but I'm trying to synchronize my fasting with my menstrual cycle. So maybe for a longer period of time, like 40 hours, maybe for women, this is so long. I don't imagine myself doing that. I could do it for 24 hours max on my 5th day. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this is a long time. But for males, I believe you can do as many hours as you want.
Yeah, I think women can also do quite a lot, but of course it's always personal. So everybody is not in the same metabolic flexible state. I once had, let's say, the family member do it, but he was not metabolically flexible, so he just stopped eating. And there's no energy around, like your body just is relying on one source of energy. And if you stop eating, your body's like, okay, and now what? So there's just an immediate drop. And if you don't do it well, if you don't have the right minerals in your body's immediately out of minerals. So it gets really problematic. So I think a lot of times when people say this is a great idea, that's what I've experienced in my coaching practice as well. It's always, but, there's a comma. Sometimes fasting is great, but when I work with my clients, I never start with that because they have spent their entire life preparing their body to not be okay with fasting.
Yeah, exactly.
So the second you start, they feel awful. So first we mentally, physically prep a person, but especially physically, to make it easier when you do it. So it's like things that you know how to do. For you, they're easy. But if you're telling that to somebody else, it's super difficult. And I think this is like on a physiological level, it's a problem. I think a lot of those times when you say this makes sense for a person at this time, yes. But it has to be with the right situation. I think a lot of people can do a lot more than they think, but they need the right prep to get to that point where they're ready for that, if that makes sense.
That's a great advice, actually, the prep. Many people, I believe, are missing this part of this whole process.
Yeah, they just go Google and let's go. Yeah, people are like, that's also like just on, off, I just found this crazy new thing, whatever, fill in the dot, it's like a diet or something you're into. And it's like, I'm all in because your mind is there, your energy is there, let's go. Yeah. But you know? And then, of course, people bounce back because, like, you have the energy. Everybody has the energy, you know? If we find now, after we are done talking, we find on our phone some new revolutionary idea that if you eat blah, blah, blah leaves, then you will get a result. We find that everybody has the willpower to push through 1 week, 2 weeks, but then it just stops because your physical state just says, okay, sorry, no. But also your mental energy is gone now. So it's finite. So I think you need to prep mentally well, but also do it smarter. And I think we can do crazy things once we are ready on how to get there.
That's amazing.
You're so knowledgeable about biohacking, intermittent fasting. Of course, you're doing this as a job. It's your business. How did you start? How did you learn all this?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because it's, I think, a mix of experiences. So, of course, you can go and do some type of school, or you can go and do it by experience. But for me, it was a bit of a mix. And I think it was like a red pill moment. You know this? Like I took one red pill. Yeah, and it was, some people just don't want to take the first red pill and then avoid getting more. So I took one and I just kept eating. So there's a lot of these red pill moments, I think, for me. And the first one was actually food, nutrition. So my wake-up call was, I was working out, I think, sometimes twice a day. A long time ago, I was sort of semi-professional speed skater, which is something in Holland, you know, on ice. And I was training like my ass off, like insane amount of hours. It was making no sense. If I look back on that, if I benchmark with other people, it made no sense. But also my impact was okay at best. I didn't break through or something like that. And for me, that was an interesting wake-up call to look back. And just before I stopped, I had also for years, I had some injuries on my shins. It's a practical problem with skating. You cannot control your foot, which is sort of important with skating. There was this moment when before I just almost stopped, like I just by sort of some freak accident, I changed something in my technique. And I just all of a sudden qualified for the Dutch championships. For like, whoa. So it was there all the time, something, but it just never came out.
You hacked it.
I hacked it. Yeah, I hacked it. And I was happy and I don't know, but it was almost, I was about to stop, you know? And I understood, first of all, I was doing things completely differently. I focused on the wrong things. So I was always doing middle or short to long distances, which skating is like 500 or 1,000 meters. For me, that was far. And I just all of a sudden did this amazing time on the 100-meter sprint. Like, and people in skating were never really looking at that. That was not so interesting. But later it became more interesting because people started to appreciate like 100-meter sprint in running is also something a lot of people look at. So people got more appreciative, but I never looked at it. Nor maybe let's take the blame on me or trainers or anybody. Nobody understood like, okay, this is his thing. Maybe he can only do that, you know? And then my technique didn't really click. So there was all these things. But I look at it in a positive way. It made me sort of pivot right on the spot. I was not different. I just did something differently. And I was all of a sudden successful. And the same with food. So my red pill moment was I think I was training still, I think at least 4 times a week. And I got like a bit fat. And for me, that was like an insult to myself. Like, how? Me. I was always like on immeasurable body fat levels, you know, like I literally had error messages on this fat percentage things. Like I was only working out the whole time.
Yeah.
I was a real athlete, you could say, but I got chubby now. So I actually was doing also capoeira back in the day. I don't know if you know what capoeira is.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, so for the listeners, maybe Brazilian martial arts with a lot of acrobatics and stuff. I was doing that at the same time while I was downscaling my skating. I was sort of up-leveling my capoeira. And my master came over from Brazil. And in capoeira, you always stand often, if it's nice weather, you take your shirt off, you have your white pants and some cords, and you're standing without a shirt. That's sort of how you do things around there.
And there you are with the belly.
No,
I cannot imagine.
Well, it's maybe worse. So my master came over. I didn't see him for like a year. He came over from Brazil, and he said the words I will never forget. Baunilla, that's my capoeira name, because you have a nickname, and my skin is very white, so they call me Vanilla. Yeah, so
what a name.
Vanilla baby.
There's no wokeness in capoeira, for the record. So if you're a black, tall guy, they call you Negao, which is big black guy. If you're a small black guy, you call it Neguinho. Like, you look like a small stick. Oh, now your nickname is Stick. Haha, you know? In capoeira, there's no discrimination. Everybody just mocks each other. And my capoeira name was Whitey, basically, or Vanilla. And he came to me, he said, Vanilla. He said, Baunilla, você é gordo. you're fat. He said like this to me, and like this
Straight.
just completely arrowed my head, like me. No, it just didn't compute.
This was the turning point.
Yeah, this was my first red pill. I had to accept it, so that's like pain. Okay, take it on the chest. All right, and then I was sort of ready for change, but I didn't know how. And there, at some point, I started to really experiment, and I just understood. Oh wow, I'm just working out still a lot. Like 4 days a week is not little. I didn't have any kids, nothing to give me headache or like work that was challenging me. Like I did my job. I just went home.
You didn't have a Russian wife.
I didn't have a Russian wife. Be careful. I cannot laugh about this joke because I will be assassinated. But yeah, so this was my wake-up call. Like it was, I think, 20 years ago. And then I started sort of like tuning or like removing, adding. So,
Clicking some things there.
yeah, like I was in the cockpit, like, okay, listen, the pilot is dead. You need to fix it now. Like, okay. I was just doing stuff.
Yeah.
And then I understood, oh, wait, there's actually, this works rather well. Mm-hmm. And, this works really badly. And I was doing all these things. So I learned a lot about, okay, you can just do things smarter. Like if I did it the old way, and I look back at what I ate when I worked out like 7, 8, 9 times a week, I ate really awful food. So I'm just thinking, what if I ate great food? My first question. But secondly, I was sort of maybe even looking down on people who didn't figure their stuff out. Like, of course, you just eat and then you work out. That's good. But then I just stopped working out the whole time. And then things went south. So, maybe the food was always a bit of a bad thing. So I think that kickstarted my journey. And I was always working out and smarter and trying to do things differently. And then I think, had a rather successful corporate career. I worked with the largest electronic manufacturers of Europe. So you maybe see the red and blue buses driving around if you're living in the western side of Europe. I was responsible for, I think, billions of turnover. I had great colleagues. It was a really great place to be. But I just felt unfulfilled. Okay.
You were lacking the purpose.
Yes. Yeah. It was a good salary, a nice car, everything was check. Like I enjoyed it and the people were nice. So why leave? I sold millions of computers and hundred thousands of phones. It was crazy amounts and that's sort of cool. But it's like, and what's next? So I always had this itch and the itch became bigger. And then it was like, how to scratch that itch. So I'm not the type of person who's going to sit around and wait for something to happen.
For a sign.
So I'm always like waiting. I tell my daughter who's now 7, like I see luck as like apples. They're falling from the tree. So sometimes you have to be lucky that the apple falls, but you need to be ready to catch it. If you're just standing there looking at the ground, you will never catch an apple. Yeah.
It's a good one.
Next level.
Yeah.
That's a smart move. Yeah. So I need to incorporate that. Just take life in the hand,
Of course.
Yeah, so this was something I decided to really push, like, where is my purpose? What is my purpose? And I started to go to meetups, to like conferences, to talk to people, anyway, so I didn't come to that point yet. And I was sort of frustrated. I even started writing a book. Maybe that's it,
Wow.
I just started trying things, but it didn't click. And zooming out, I now realized I was a bit frustrated also about this. But, these things just take time. I speak to a lot of people nowadays. And it's a theme for many people. I don't know what I want. But my suggestion, if I can be so kind to suggest something, like just give it some time. Sometimes it just clicks. Yeah. It's not the right moment. And you can make a metaphor with the stars that are aligning or not aligning. But sometimes it's just not the moment. Maybe you're not ready. Maybe the opportunity didn't come, or both. Yeah, then it was time for a reorganization within the company I was working. And they do this all the time. So it was a sort of annual thing. And that time I was like, I'm pretty much done here. And they were offering these exit packages. And I thought, that's my turn now. So, so I applied and I chose to leave after we made a deal. And I left. And this gave me some time to sort of experiment a bit more. And I went to work for 2 startups, which were a bit in the field where I was active, but not fully. But this also gave me, I think, 2 great experiences. And one was, this is not it. So knowledge, okay, this was not my thing. I was looking for the purpose and I didn't find it there. And I got a burnout, which was also fantastic. And I don't think many people really choose for a burnout. No. but now I had it and I know how it transformed me. I think it's
You appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Yeah, like it was part of my life, and it made me, I think, much stronger. So first of all, I will never get into that position again. So I know what to do to protect myself better. But also, it forced me to think. Like I was already quite busy with low levels of, like foundational levels of what to do, where to put the blocks, what should I take out to add, how do I find this purpose to really get to the next level, in my head mentally. But now it forced me to go even deeper, like core level. So I just broke everything down, took a big hammer, and then started rewriting what I wanted to do.
That's beautiful. Is that the time when you went to Tony Robbins?
Yes, sure, yeah. I think it's better to redefine going to Tony Robbins. Like I was kicked to Tony Robbins.
Kicked again.
Forced. There was some Russian influence, which was great because I didn't feel great. I couldn't make one of my symptoms, let's say, I don't want to go too deep here, but when I had this burnout, I couldn't make any decisions. Like I just didn't, what to eat, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
I recognize this.
Yeah,
I've been there.
Yeah, but because in your life, sorry for interruption,
No
but
worries.
you have to take so many decisions, like absolutely every day. Starting with your morning, the decision, what to eat, what should be my breakfast, what to wear. Should I go to work with the bicycle or with the car? And here you have 3 decisions for like maybe the first 10 minutes of your day. And imagine until the end of the day how many decisions you need to make. It's crazy overwhelming for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it was for me very awful. And then somebody, while I was doing that, and then you want to go to Tony Robbins. And I always wanted to go, let me be clear. I had a dream of going there, It was something like, imagine you're like working on the foundation and you really want to change, find your purpose. At some point in your journey, the word Tony and the word Robbins come up together, right? Mm-hmm. So but I also greatly appreciate him, and there's many things you can say about him, and I think the coach purists have something to say about him. I don't disagree with that, but I think he's rather unique, and I always wanted to go. But at that time, I couldn't make any decision. I was going to leave the job regardless, so either I would be fired or I would leave because I was just not in a healthy place. And now I feel like I'm providing also for my family. Like, you're going to spend this money on a ticket. It was then pre-inflation, people, I think £1,000. It was a flight there. It was hotels, but also managing that and how to get from the hotel, like all these questions. I have no energy for that. Yeah. So, but then I come home one day and my wife says, by the way, small update. I bought the ticket and I arranged a stay at our friend who is a banker in London. And yeah, the flight is also already done. So you just have to show up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Drag yourself to the airport. You're going to Tony Robbins.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. And it's even more amazing because I was very angry beforehand. I said, don't you dare. I even used the word, I think, and say now, divorce. Because I was really, this is not going down, You're not doing this to me. And she saw through this bull. No, can we? Is it PG rated? BS. And she said, no, I think he needs that. And I did. So she just pushed through and she did exactly what I needed.
A wife always knows.
Yeah.
A wife always knows what to do to save her drowning husband.
Yeah. And I needed a little push in the back. Mm-hmm. And that was the exact push I needed. And I went there, but I was also, I don't know if this helps anything. I'm pretty sure it does, but I was so ready to do this. I was already working years and years and years to this, not to this moment specifically, but I had all these puzzle pieces laying on the table because I was going through all these meetups, talking to all these people, changing my jobs just to see, okay, no, this goes out, this comes in, this comes in. So I had this sort of, it looks like blue with the red in the middle, but I just don't know what it is. But and then I was there, and the thing I like a lot about him, he gets super concrete, So it's a lot of if you come in there, I don't know if you've ever seen any of his stuff, probably, but if you come in there midway and you didn't go through the whole thing, you're like, what the hell are these people doing, But it's really the way he does things. I think is very good. I don't have any shares in selling his tickets, but no, I really appreciate what he did, also for me personally, but also the way you get from all these puzzle pieces to, okay, this is it, And I had so many things laying around and just wrote it down. And I just literally on the runway of London City Airport, the plane was moving. I'm not even exaggerating. This was exactly how it happened. At that moment, I pressed the button to send my first application to a coaching education.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like he calls this taking massive action. Mm-hmm. And I just connected to that idea and just pedal to the metal. And it has never stopped. I think it's like 6 years ago now.
Wow.
Just kept pushing. And I just got clearer and clearer on my goal and just kept doing that.
And you're not sorry you did that?
Which part, going to Tony Robbins or pushing hard on the goal?
Pushing hard on establishing your own coaching practice, starting with that moment.
No. And also because I think the way I did it at least works for me. So anybody can take from that what they want. But one of the main things I think people get wrong, I know this myself, I've heard it in my coaching educations and specializations, is people get this idea, just like where we started off our conversation, like with food, like, oh, wait, this new thing. And then all in, like, and I'm, oh, wow, I want to be a ... coach. So I wanted to be a coach in something. Okay, great. Okay, I'm going to quit my job now. And then I'm going to put this stick in the ground in front of my house. It says open for business, coaching. And then there's just me sitting there and just time passing by and nobody coming. And I'm just, at some point, I do what I want, but I'm not doing it because there's nobody I can do it with.
Yeah.
And also at some point it gets to the point where you get like sort of start biting with other things like, hey, I need to pay my mortgage or my rent or some food or my children's school or fill in. And then it starts to that gets more important and it starts to block your great, fantastic idea where you had all this energy and then the energy goes out. So I took that not too hard. I just had it in my head and I had all this feedback suggesting that was a good idea, not to like go all out. So I started another company and I launched my own interim business. And I worked for myself using some of the knowledge that I had and also a lot of new things where I just said, yes, let's go. And that worked out super well. But it helped me also in a period where I was starting up, like I was going to, I had different trainings, different courses I was doing. I was specializing and all these things, but I also was practicing. So first with my fellow students and then with friends and then with friends of friends and acquaintances. And then, this takes a while, you're not just live. And especially in a business that goes, and especially when it goes mouth to mouth sometimes. Some business like, hey, listen, I sell, I don't know, mics or glasses. I'm not saying that's easy. I'm just saying that it's a very specific thing. Yeah. And especially when you are a bit more niche. So I think I'm broad in the sense that I'm doing the topic of weight loss is my topic. So that's broad, but I'm focusing on a specific group of people who are more like high performers and want to do things smarter, who are done with the way they were doing things before. And it's not like I'm asking like pocket change. No, okay, we have my full dedication. So, but that's also then maybe required some of your dedication. So I think that interim thing helped me go through that phase. And then now that I had enough momentum and I could sort of flip the switch. But that was not just right in the beginning. It took a while. And then I just flipped it.
Yeah.
And where did the Bali came from? What is this Bali thing now?
Yeah, well, it's not really, it is not connected and super connected.
Yeah.
So it is real estate investment that we did. And that's why we bought a house there, an apartment, but it's for rental purposes. So we're not planning to live there, but it's in general of sort of taking control of your life.
Yeah.
We wanted to take control. Okay, what does it mean? So we sold our house, which was a big thing because we only have one house. We took the excess value and that we invested in some investment property. And then we decided to move to Spain. So we left from Holland to Spain to live a year.
Oh, wow.
And we took the excess value not to buy a nice car, but we bought exactly an investment property that would give us yield. And this yield, I'm not getting filthy rich from that. But what it does help me is to do what I want. So I have my expenses paid. So now I came back to Holland, to Amsterdam. We live now in Amsterdam. And I pay my rent with this. Okay, rent is taken care of. Got it. And the rest, whatever you do, just do especially what you like to do.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be in a position anymore ever where I'm doing things that I don't want to do. And I know this is a luxury.
Yeah.
And I really want to underline, we come back to this point a few times. It's also about the moment. Like when I just started working at Coolblue, a lot of people might know this company. Yeah, you're a rookie. Better just do what they tell you. Like, it's a great company, let me underline that. But it's like, you're just a novice. You're just learning things. So you're more absorbing and you're doing also. But first you're learning and learning and learning. But at some point, it can make sense to start your own company. Like, I'm going to do this on my own, and then the customers will come to me because I'm now a bit of an expert now. But sometimes people take that moment in time, like 35, 40 experts. They've been around in their industry, they're now an expert, and then they tell people like we're 20, just start your own company, do it on your own. You know, I have a successful practice, coaching, interim. You can also do it. Well, I'm not saying you cannot, but it needs nuance, you know. Sometimes it's good to learn first a few years and grow. And then when you're ready mentally, but also in terms of knowledge, then it's time to either pull the plug or just slowly grow into that. So it's a bigger thing of being in control of life and also be flexible. So that's another big point
and adaptable.
Yeah. So I just lived in Spain for a year. Like, some of my clients didn't even, like, they knew, but it was more like a casual conversation thing, but it's not like they really cared. No, yeah. It's like, yeah, you're Spain. Okay, yeah, this is apparently your background today. Well, yesterday it was...
different.
Yeah, so yeah. I did get the question, though, some people ask me, is that your real background? Or is it like from Google Meetup, Meets, you know? It was actually my real background, so...
For sure.
Yeah, so that was, I think, a few big pillars of taking control, being free, and... yeah, so that's why we did it.
Yeah, and in the conclusion of everything you just said, exactly this is what and the AME stands for, and this is something that we are also talking about, is that in life, what we want is freedom. But freedom is financial freedom, location independency as well. As you said, you're not like, you could live here, but you could live whenever you want as well. So this is up to you. This is absolutely your decision. You can do whatever you want. Time freedom, like, today you can decide you can stay at home and spend the day with your children, but today you can also decide to work. But this is up to you. Nobody is telling you you need to do this and that in order to create this. This is absolutely your decision. And I love this for everything that we are all building. And I believe this is very important for all of our listeners to find what gives them the sense of that they're making something with purpose, but also gives them this freedom that we are all fighting for, let's say.
And it all comes thanks to the personal development, thanks to that inner journey you go through, thanks to that health journey, you are able to achieve those things.
Thanks to trying, as you said. Trying this, no, it's not happening.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try another one. Okay, let's get back to the previous one. It might be better.
Yeah. And if I can quote, I went to actually a psychotherapist when I felt really bad at some point, mentally. And he said, well, I think actually that the fact that you're so healthy is what makes you still stand at this point. Because if I hear what you've been through, that it would kick over a lot of people, and you're apparently still standing. And he says, the thing that stands out for you is the fact that you seem very healthy. So that's something it's also like this moment I will never forget. Like, he said that, and I thought, So my point is just, it's a pillar, right? So it's like a pillar, and the rest around it is just building. But you need to focus on core things, like the things you said, or at least health. You know, if your health is a mess, I've heard this wise quote by somebody said, like, healthy people have 1,000 wishes, and unhealthy people have just one.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
sounds
which
sad,
is
but it's
it's like, just realize, you know, if you are today feeling healthy, you know, just imagine like you are so far ahead of somebody who's not, you know, but also maintain it. It can be done smarter, I think, but I also think it's one of the things I would love to share today is that I think it's sometimes boring, right? Health is sometimes boring.
True.
There's this great things. I'm going to this amazing place. It is very Instagrammable content, and I'm doing this great salad. It looks fantastic. I'm just thinking Instagram here. You probably get my drift. There's also like things that are just super boring, but just every day, doing it every day, consistently, which is also sometimes related to being boring because you don't have to think of new crazy things to catch the likes. No, just every day, boring things. And they accumulate. They accumulate. And all of a sudden, you're 40 and you have 5% body fat. And it's like, oh, all right, apparently this works. So yeah, this is also something I think is overlooked a lot.
Yeah.
I would like to keep living a boring life. And when I'm 50, to look at myself in the mirror and say, damn,
I look good.
I look good.
Yeah.
So let's finish with keeping it boring.
Let's keep it boring.
In a good way.
Yeah. Keep it boring in a good way.
Boring is good.
We can break our fast.
Let's go.
Because I think we just did a 22-hour fast recording this podcast.
I didn't.
Time to splurge. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.